jump to the story from Fox News and get an update on this story. Rep. Luna planning to force vote to hold Garland in inherent contempt for refusal to hand over Biden her tapes. Republican Congresswoman said Sunday she expects the measure to pass. Now, she's not actually looking for the sergeant-at-arms to make the arrest, which I think should happen, but she wants to fine him $10,000 per day. But, Rep. Burchett, you're there. What's going on?
Yeah, well, I was talking to Luna on the drive over, actually. She and I are me and her and her husband and baby Henry are pretty close. And we talk about this all the time. And I was at the press conference, first one, and we were going to have a press conference in the morning, but we think we've kind of overdone the press conference. I think Luna is under the impression that she just needs to move the bill forward. But you got to realize a lot in our leadership in those circles do not want her to do that. They feel like she's pulling something from, the president and with the debate victory. But I keep saying, this thing is a moving target, and it's always, and you need to add on. If we've got things that they've done wrong, we need to expose them. We need to bring them forward. That's what we're here for. We've got 22 legislative days left, and if we spend all our time naming post offices, that is an issue. And as I told the leadership, I have a serious piece of legislation dealing with genetics and how the Chinese are stealing our genome, literally, and are developing biological entities to come after us. And, I can't even get it to move. And I told our leadership, I said, these dadgum post offices will name themselves. The one thing they have on us is we're not doing meaningful legislation. This is meaningful legislation. Let's pass it, send it over to Schumer. We ought to pass H.R. 2 every week. Just change it a little bit, send it back over to them, make it stronger. Border security, that's the issue. And that would be in the news every week.
Or at the very least, subpoenas.
100%. Yeah, bring them in. And let's enforce the law. Let's show America that this Justice Department is inept and corrupt.
I think my view is, unfortunately, a bit more dismal pertaining to what we're seeing with Congress. We'll get into the SAVE Act in a little bit. But even if, the SAVE Act, right, proving you're a citizen if you're going to vote, even if it passes the House, it doesn't go anywhere in the Senate because Democrats won't allow it to. And even if it goes to Biden, he vetoes it, doesn't go anywhere. Now we're looking at Merrick Garland, who has defied congressional authority. The DOJ is refusing to enforce the law as it's supposed to be, and nothing will be done about it. So while Steve Bannon is in prison and Peter Navarro is in prison for defying congressional authority, Republicans get nothing done. And it is always seemingly this way. I mean, probably most conservatives will tell you it's been this way for decades. But at least for the past decade, every single time an opportunity comes up, the Republicans say, no, slow down there. We better not. And then nothing happens. We're looking at Merrick Garland, who is engaged in a criminal activity, verifiably, easily provable. He defied congressional authority, a co-equal branch of the government, challenging and trying to hold the executive branch to account. And the leadership for the Republicans in Congress are like, I want to see the sergeant-at-arms arrest Merrick Garland. If Steve Bannon's going to be in jail, I'm not talking about revenge or retribution. I'm talking about
equal
equality
justice
under the law.
Well, and the language is so similar. You have Merrick Garland saying that he can't turn over her tapes because of executive privilege. Well, that's why Bannon couldn't give up his communication with Trump. It's the exact same thing. You have Garland saying, that he can't give up the tapes now because he can't turn it over because that would chill the ability of the Department of Justice to conduct investigations in the future. And you had Luna in her conference just before the break saying, if our subpoenas are toothless, then we have absolutely no power. So it's like the same language.
The J6 committee had tons of power.
Yeah.
Forcing people to testify and threatening them with prison over this.
And in prison, and now they're in prison. I mean, Navarro was in prison, Bannon's in prison, know.
But House Republicans' position is basically, we don't want this to be in the news cycle, and we would rather focus on whatever's going on with Biden.
That's exactly right. They do not want to take anything away from the debate and the debacle. And of course, with this, they're telling, and the spin, of course, is that, well, it's just going to prove what we already know, what we saw on the debate screen, that Biden is inept. But the point is the defiance of the law. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily what's on that. I think what it's going to show, I think the reason they're laying down on the train tracks, I think it's going to show just how inept he is, and that he's got either attorneys or advisors in there in the meeting telling him what to say.